County Democratic Party. And Lisa Cupid is also here. She is the chair of the Cobb County Democratic Party. Y'all gotta say that 5 times fast. It's a tongue twister. Okay, I am so glad you are both here. A lot of talk about your 2 counties. And I would love if you could start by just telling us about the efforts on the ground that led to the historic turnout that we're seeing. Lisa, you first.
Yeah, so traditionally, Democrats have had a strong ground game, and this election was no different. You know, we've seen a little bit of a takeoff from that from the pandemic, but those numbers have certainly crept up. We have a lot of canvassers out in the community, and people are excited about getting out to vote, and a lot of them have been touched personally.
Now, John, talk to me a little bit about Dekalb County then. Also seeing record turnout there. What have you all done differently this cycle?
Well, Dekalb County has a grassroots force. We're known to have some of the best turnout in the state. In the general election, we had 2% higher than the average state turnout. We have a ground game that at a local level we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. We hire paid canvassers. We have lots of precinct captains and block captains just telling their neighbors to vote. We really changed the culture here in the past couple of years and made this really a voting county. Where voting in DeKalb County is really muscle memory.
A friend of the show, Terrence Woodbury, who we will hear from, is talking about the fact that there are super voters now. These new voters that you all have registered in Georgia have become super voters. The muscle memory, they have voted 5 times since 2018 due to runoffs and various elections. I think as a recovering Democratic strategist, Georgia used to be a pipe dream for Democrats. People used to say you could be competitive in Georgia, but now it is a reality. You all are knocking on doors. The county parties are strong. What are you hearing from some of the voters in this work that you're doing? What's motivating them? What are they saying when y'all are on the doors? I'd love to hear more about that.
I'm going to be honest, in this midterms, Herschel Walker's absurdity is mobilizing a lot of the black community. He is really gaining a lot of traction of being like, no, we can't let this man become a United States Senator. In contrast to, we have the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s historical church, who has done a great job delivering for Georgia. That is motivating the black community. You can't go hardly anywhere without hearing a Herschel Walker joke. But behind those Herschel Walker jokes is a person who does not want this man to become our senator, and we do want to keep the Reverend in office.
You know, Lisa, are you also hearing that in Cobb County? I mean, Cobb is a place that is not traditionally voting for Democrats, but since 2016, it has trended more and more blue.
You're exactly right. We saw that with Clinton's race in 2016, and with the momentum of the Abrams race beginning in 2018, we've seen Cobb trend blue, not just for those top-of-the-ticket races, but for down ballot for statewide candidates. And also even at the local level, where with my election, we've been able to elect other persons who were Democrats for countywide races. So we can say that Cobb is certainly a blue county, and with that blue county comes support for Warnock in this race.
Now, I want to talk about your Republican counterparts for a second, because I think I've heard different things from folks not on the ground, so I want to know what is really going on, the view from the streets. Has there been a push from Republicans to push Republican voters to get more involved in the early vote in the state, particularly in either one of your counties?
I can't say that they're more involved, as I can't say they're more involved in the early voting process because I typically vote Democrat. But what I can say is, Cobb has traditionally been a Republican county, and so I'm sure that there's a little bit more motivation to want to see Cobb return to its earlier trend. However, Cobb is solidly blue, and so while there may be a solid early voting effort on that end, I think you're going to see a more dominant play on the Democratic end to show up our space as a Democratic county.
Spoken like a Democratic County Party chair. John, before I let you go, DeKalb County, okay, blue place, folks would say. I'm concerned about these lines, though, because the lines across the state, especially in a number of the counties that we just talked about here, they, to me, demonstrate that there's still more work to do. So what is the plan going forward? Because you should not have to stand in line for 45 minutes, an hour, 5 hours in order to cast your ballot in the United States of America in the 21st century.
You know, the lines can mostly be attributed to the SB 202 law that shortened our runoff period, that gives folks less time to vote. Here in DeKalb County, we opened up over a dozen precincts to vote at. We have a online system that is telling you how long the lines are. We're doing the best we can to work with a law that was meant to stop our people from voting. But our people are being resilient. They're standing in line. They're getting out and voting. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to have to reverse this law eventually, because it was meant to stop folks in urban areas that are more crowded, like Cobb and Dekalb, from voting. And if that had been the case when Lisa Cupid was on the ballot, the Cobb County might not have flipped. So I think that, we've got to, on the legislative front, we have to fight to reverse laws like Senate Bill 202, or even sue, take this to the federal courts and maybe potentially get this law struck down.
All right, well, it's something we will be watching. John Jackson, Lisa Cupid, thank you both so much. Coming up, my political